I don't know if I ever need another watch. This is like the luckiest lucky charm.
Yeah. On top of his hugely successful career, reputation as the British heartthrob, and exceptional talents as one of the most prominent musicians of his generation, did you know that Ed Sheeran is also an avid watch collector? Pushed off the diving board by John Mayer into the vast pool of the watch collecting world, Ed Sheeran has been collecting some of the rarest and most valuable timepieces in the market for over a decade. With a collection valued at over $6 million, Ed has timepieces by some of the biggest names in the industry, including Rolex, Audemars Piguet, and Richard Mille. Still, the singer seems to love one particular brand over all others, Patek Phillipe.
I love 5711s with different dials. I mean, it's very bright.
His watch collection may be decorated with various watches, but his loyalty to Patek watches remains a staple in his life. With a net worth of over $200 million, you'd be compelled to think Ed buys just any watch he seems to fancy while flipping through catalogues. While this may be true for some pieces in his huge collection, many timepieces owned by Ed are so rare that they can't be found on the grey market. So if you're curious about what makes Ed Sheeran's collection so special, keep watching this video because we're going to talk about some of Ed's most amazing and most expensive watches today. We guarantee that some viewers watching this may have never seen these particular pieces before, so stay tuned. Before becoming a billionaire singer-songwriter, Ed Sheeran's first watch was from the Italian brand named Toy Watch. He liked the watch because it could be mixed and matched with different straps, so he bought a green, orange, and white strap that he could switch according to his outfits and events. That watch stayed with him for a while until he finished his first tour, when he made enough money to splurge on a more expensive watch.
Well, because I had the toy watch, I was like, when I eventually make enough money, I will buy the watch. I'll buy one watch.
He initially bought the 41mm rose gold Hublot Big Bang with chocolate dial, with the intention that it would be his forever watch. But as is the story of all watch collectors out there, one is never enough. After his second tour, Ed fully submerged himself in watch collecting by getting an Audemars Piguet Volcano.
And then, I did another tour, and then I started looking at an AP Volcano.
Which was a rather bold choice on Ed's part, with orange highlights that pop out on a unique dial with a tapisserie design. Ed describes this watch as the straw that broke the camel's back, since a second watch always leads to a third, a fourth, and so on. It wasn't long before Ed was hired for a bar mitzvah, where he performed to raise enough money for a Patek Philippe Nautilus. By then, he'd officially accepted that he was in too deep, and simply chose to accept his fate and indulge himself in some of the rarest watches on the market. Starting with Ed's Rolex watches, which he has plenty of. We first have the Yachtmaster reference 116655 in Ever Rose Gold. This watch is powered by an automatic caliber 3135 movement with a 50-hour power reserve. It comes in a 40mm black dial with white markers and hands accented with Ever Rose Gold, and a black ceramic Sarah chrome bezel that is resistant to corrosion and fading. It's held by Rolex's first rubber strap bracelet called the Oyster Flex, a rubber-coated two-piece titanium bracelet with a patented cushioning system. This watch sells for roughly $30,000 on the grey market. Though the Yachtmaster is certainly a beauty, Ed seems way more interested in Daytonas. He's been spotted wearing a Ref 116500 Daytona with a Panda dial, which is maybe one of the most sought-after watches at the moment, and costs approximately $47,000 on the market. One of the two most expensive Rolex pieces in Ed's possession is the vintage Paul Newman Daytona, referenced 6239. This is considered one of the holy grails for Rolex collectors, and the original Ref 6239, worn by the man himself, sold for $17 million in 2017. Powered by a 17-jewel manual winding caliber 722-1 that comes in a 36mm steel case, a black dial with Art Deco chrono numerals, and a steel bezel. An example like this goes for around $300,000 on the market. The other crown jewel in Ed's Rolex collection is the white gold Daytona with a rainbow gem bezel. This is the same watch John Mayer was spotted with at one point, and this ref is 116599 Arbo, is rarely ever sold online.
So, and this feels like one, it has a story behind it now. It's not just I got on a list and I got a watch that was hard to get.
Though many find Richard Mille watches to be an acquired taste, Ed Sheeran evidently enjoys collecting timepieces from this particular brand, despite the hefty prices. First off, he owns a rare RM3801 Tourbillon G-Sensor Quartz Bubba Watson, made in collaboration with the famous American golfer. Richard Mille is known for making pieces partnered with their collection of athletic brand ambassadors, and this watch is made specifically for golf. Its durability is built to withstand the potentially harsh vibrations that can occur while making hard strikes. The case band and case back of the watch are made of a grade 5 titanium in a protective rubber coating that is injected at high pressure, while the bezel is made of a special ceramic made from injecting aluminium oxide powder tubes at very high pressure. These materials offer excellent protection against any potential damage and keep the movement nice and safe. With a transparent dial, skeletonized internal structure, and astonishingly lightweight, this watch is a hallmark in sports watches, and only 50 pieces have ever been created. Ed also has an RM2703 Rafael Nadal, another Richard Mille unique sports watch made in collaboration with the world champion tennis player. Similar to the Bubba Watson piece, this one is also built for comfort and extreme durability. The red and orange color scheme is an homage to the clay grounds of Roland Garros. This piece is made from forged carbon and has a very unique dial, with streamlined curves and skeletonized bridges surrounding the barrel. The tourbillon is reminiscent of the head of a bull, which is Nadal's emblem that's also a symbol of Spain, his home country. Like the previous piece, this watch is limited to 50 pieces as well. Perhaps the most interesting Richard Mille piece in Ed's collection is the RM2602 Evil Eye tourbillon in black ceramic and 18K rose gold. This particularly artistic piece has a dial with red flames and an eye model that is fashioned from red gold and hand-chiseled. The markers are actually diamonds, and the movement that can be seen behind the figures on the dial is a highly efficient manually wound RM2602 caliber. There are only 25 pieces of this watch in the world, and it retails for a gobsmacking $575,000, while the Bubba Watson watch is $820,000. And the Rafael Nadal watch retails for $725,000. Ed seems to also really love Patek Phillipe watches. Though he owns a lot of watches by the brand, 3 in particular are quite eye-catching. Firstly, there's Ed's very own customized reference 5726A, modded by the Bamford Watch Department, which is owned by LVMH. What's different about Ed's version is that this one has a red second hand, red indices, and his initials in red under the monophase window. The watch is powered by an in-house Patek Philippe 324S QA-LU24H caliber with a 21-carat yellow gold self-winding weighted rotor. The case is sized at 40.5mm with a thickness of 11.3mm and a water resistance of 120 meters due to the screw-down crown. Ed somehow also got his hands on one of the most difficult to obtain Nautiluses on the market, the reference 5711-1300A-001 with a green dial and factory Piguet diamond bezel. This one has similar features to the 5726A, but with an in-house caliber 26330 SC mechanical movement. What makes this watch so rare is the fact that it's one of only 2 references that were made after the 5711-1A series was discontinued, much to the dismay of all Nautilus enthusiasts. The fact that Ed has his hands on one of these goes to show how particular he is about owning the best of the best. This particular piece goes for almost $1.2 million on the secondary market. Another rare and very special piece in Ed's collection is the 5711 Tiffany Blue.
Tiffany in New York, because Kelly was my contact. I had sort of like 5, 6, 7 watches that all had this tiny stamp on it.
This Nautilus is considered the holy grail of Nautiluses. This piece was a special edition watch made to celebrate Patek and Tiffany & Co.'s 170-year partnership. This color was never before seen on a Nautilus, which attracted all the biggest watch collectors like vultures. This watch has been worn by some of the most famous people in the world, including Jay-Z, the CEO of LVMH, Bernard Arnault, Leonardo DiCaprio, LeBron James, James Harden, Mark Wahlberg, and Tommy Hilfiger. Ed's story with this piece is quite special though.
For a Tiffany 5711 in 2015 or something like that.
Ed signed up for this watch in 2015 and waited 5 years for it, until it came on the exact day his daughter was born. After receiving the watch, he went to the hospital and wore the watch while his daughter was being delivered. Because of this special moment, Ed considers this Nautilus a lucky charm and said that he primarily wears it for everyday use, only switching it up for special events. This touching story probably makes this watch more meaningful for Ed than most other Tiffany 5711 owners. So what do you guys think of Ed Sheeran's collection? Does he have one of the greatest collections you've ever seen? Or is his taste questionable? Were you surprised with any particular entry on this list? Tell us in the comments below.